is having a good weekend or had a good weekend. It is 8:10 a.m. Monday, the 11th November, and that would make it 2:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. Uh, yeah, so good morning, good Monday morning to everybody out there. Wow, so it's been an amazing few couple days, actually, since the election. Actually, it's been an amazing week. It was actually a wild election cycle, um, in many ways, but it was also a lot of contrast. Um, there was, well, let me check the audio real quick before I get into it. Let me know how the audio is. Um, if you don't mind. Here, let me just check it 2 seconds myself. Let's see how it sounds. 2 seconds, y'all. Right, okay, so we here. Now, it's been interesting. I mean, we've had two big contrasts. We've had the Democratic Party, we've had the Republican Party. And people have had time to think about what has been said and the outcomes, right? Now, it's taken a little bit of time for some of, the retrospective thoughts to come, but I've been having them day after day, hour after hour. It takes a little bit of time because there's a lot to consider. There's a lot of aspects to this and also the ramifications people don't know. I mean, legal experts are still speculating on what is supposed to go down from here on. Nobody really knows. There's people saying that that Trump could very well be locked up and not sit in the White House. Yes, there's legal experts saying that. Then there's legal experts saying that they don't know. It's possible that anything, this is one of these elections, to be honest, that the USA has never had before. It's a Donald Trump has made every election cycle very, very special. And I will give him credit for that. He has made it very special. You know, the racism at a height, it's really gone up. He's ratcheted it up. Now, I'm not talking about sentiments, or I'm not talking about thoughts and ideas, even, although he has verbally expressed some outrageous, heinous ideas verbally over the microphone. He's incited riots. The man is a rapist. The man has defrauded the New York City taxpayers. That means the everyday person, while you went to work and paid taxes out of every hour you worked, some of that money went to the city to keep the city alive, to provide services, all services that everybody uses. People like Donald Trump use the streets. They use the roads when they drive their big car down the street. They dirty the air up when he flies his airplane out. Who's going to deal with that? Right? These things cost. Um, Investment in infrastructure cost. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider here. And Donald Trump is the type of human being that he defrauded. He wasn't the type of taxpayer that paid their share. He defrauded, and yet there's people that would applaud that. How asinine is that? How asinine could you be to applaud someone else getting away with something that you in your own life would never come close to? I don't know how people justify that, but there's all types of things. Then there is the other threat, the real threat, the military threat, the inside job threat. The who is People are saying that Donald Trump is blackmailed by Putin. Like, the people have said this. Generals have said it. The generals just had a meeting. I mean, see, I didn't want to be this long today, but um, yeah, and I don't want to spend that much time on Trump. But the reality is that it is what it is. We have to do that. But I wanted to speak about Patti LaBelle and a little habit. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get to that because it's about disinformation. But in any case, generals have said, speculate, or they've said that Donald Trump is blackmailed by Putin, that they have something on him, you know, and yeah. And then what else could there be? Could one say? I mean, how many generals have disagreed with Trump? How many generals have, said that he's problematic? How many generals have, you don't know what it is, but let's take a look at it real quick. And before we get into that, let's get to Patti LaBelle and check out some of the habits that we were discussing.
10% of her Patty's pies.
Right.
You've worked with her.
Yeah.
How much truth is
So I want to say this respectfully, right? Master P is out of mind, right? So he has this thing called the master class. And in order to get your master class, you should have done, right? So he claimed that Patty's pies are up front because Walmart owns the pie. Walmart does not own anything. They own 0% of the pie. What it is that the bakery itself, if you walk into any Walmart, the bakery is the first thing you see. We are at the back of the bakery, right? And it's strategic for Walmart to do that because when a customer comes through, they're looking for the pie, right? And their goal is like, while they're looking for the pie, they might pick up some cookies and who knows before they get to the pie. He also stated,
long story short, disinformation, and just so people can correlate it, this is disinformation. Now, this is not on the state level. This is not disinformation, designed to skew an election to make the voters think something that is not true and then vote for something that's not in their best interest. Not that kind of disinformation. This is disinformation on a smaller level for, targeted at a specific group, which is largely African Americans. African Americans watch Master P. And now this brother here, he works with Patti LaBelle, Patti Pies, and he's explaining how Master P just maligned them on this masterclass that's seen by millions of people by saying that she doesn't only owns like 10% of her pies, right? Now he's going to explain how Master P didn't research anything, but yet Master P was out there publicly dissing her, spreading disinformation, and how problematic that is, and how, is that something we should applaud? I wanted to give this example because disinformation is what has influenced this last election, like heavily. Everybody knows that. We don't need to pretend that somehow there wasn't some election interference. There was election interference on just the basic level. If you don't believe that, well, I put it to you like this: it's burning up ballots, a voting box. Is that election interference? I think so. So there's been election interference. Is let me see, attempting to change the laws. Well, there's been definite attempted election interference, but let's just get straight to the chase with this one. Has there been disinformation spread for years? Have they, over social media, spreading lie after lie after lie after lie? Has mass media, the corporate media, have they dispelled the lies, the disinformation? No, but they do acknowledge that there's disinformation out there. They do that. And they have acknowledged that the security agents have also said there's large level disinformation. Now, how is disinformation campaigns not election interference if the disinformation is specifically designed to either stop you from voting or vote for a particular group? How's that not election interference? So I would argue that right off of the bat, it's probably been way more. And think about this: 10 million votes. 14 million Democrats, they say, didn't come out to vote this time. Why do you think that is? How do you explain that? Was it the disinformation? Or was it the ballot box burning? We don't really know yet. We don't really know, but there's more. There are some stories. There's people out there claiming right now that there were persons destroying ballots. And actually destroying Biden or Harris ballots. Let's check into that a little bit. But here is the micro level disinformation, and then we're going to go to the larger one. Sorry about that. There may have been a little too much, but here we go.
Stated that he did his research and he got stuff from Forbes 50 over 50. You don't make the Forbes 50 over 50 owning 10% of a company. She wouldn't even been on the list. Forbes did their own research. Business Week did their own research. She owns 100%. What we did do as a owner, you strategically make different partnerships. So what she did do is 5 of her items are exclusive to Walmart on a handshake because they have 4,800 stores in their high volume. There's no contract on a handshake. Walmart buys the pie from us. Right. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think Master P mentioned the person who bought the pie in. Yes, there are buyers, just like there's A&Rs at every record company that called us and said, hey, Ms. LaBelle, I Googled you. And when I Google you, mac and cheese comes up and sweet potato pie comes up. Do you have a sweet potato pie? And we were ready. And this is a lesson to all the young folks. You got to be ready. We were ready. We had business set up and we said yes. And we approached the factory. And the factory, we have factories going almost 24 hours a day making that pie. She employs hundreds and hundreds of people. And we don't just have the pie. We have cobblers. We have mac and cheese. We have collard greens. We have pasta dishes. And
but this is exactly what happened to Harris. What Master P did to Patti LaBelle is what Donald Trump, Russia, and the disinformation MAGA group. This is what they did to Kamala Harris. Now, keep in mind, they lied to their own people who are American citizens. Willingly lied. That's a very low point, because there's a lot of democratic nations on earth that disagree with each other, that have disagreements in policy, right? But that doesn't mean they just manufacture stuff. I mean, that's a new low for any type of politic. That's a very, very new low. And also, to be the most powerful nation on earth, that is an insult. That's an insult to democracy. That's an insult to nation. Can you imagine a nation represented by liars? Can you imagine that, where everybody's proud to be a liar? Ha 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 ha. That is, that's the height of, that's pathetic. That is pathetic. And I think I gotta be honest with you. In my mind now, I'm not expecting anybody to agree. I agree with this. And this is just part of my introspective thought, though. I mean, retrospective thought, I'm sorry. But check this. It's not really that, oh, this got to be shut down. It's one of these things that I think this election is going to go down in history in terms of a question mark about what happened. Just like people are still asking what happened with 9/11 and how all the answers still are not out. I think this election is going to go down like that. And now I gave the Patti LaBelle example, so I could take it down. Now, I myself, it also reminds me of when I started traveling abroad and outside of the U.S. and seeing other countries. thought after visiting a few different countries for some time, different times, 3 months, it's first traveling, touring, DJing, stuff like that. First maybe 1 month, 2 months, or a week or something like that, I don't know. But in different countries, experience in different countries, because there's been so many at this point. um you learn things. You see that people have 5 fingers, 2 eyeballs, two legs, these kind of things that everybody has, but they don't necessarily think the same about things. They don't necessarily, and I'm not saying that they're different or they oppose you, but they don't think the same. You cannot assume that everyone thinks a specific kind of way. Like you can't assume that Danish people think like American people. They don't, because their culture is different. I mean, Americans, we do not think like Danish people. Let me tell you, we definitely don't. You have to grow up in this nation before you can think this way. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that that's just what it is. And when you have that experience of traveling outside of the US, you just seeing that people ponder and reflect on things differently and do things maybe differently too. Yeah, even some subtle things. You start to question, why do Americans do the things that they do in the way that they do it? You start to question it. Guns. Look, to be in the most powerful, most wealthy nation on earth, and you're worried about your neighbor robbing you. I mean, I don't understand how that makes sense, but that is the reality. You live in the most powerful and wealthiest nation on earth, yet you're worried about your neighbor robbing you. And you know what the proof is? The proof is you got guns everywhere. That's how worried you are. The amount of guns can equals the amount of worry for one's own neighbor, for one's own community, for one's city, town that they live in. Yeah, for one's life. But you have to understand, all people don't live life that way at all. And they may not be the most wealthy in terms of the GDP, but there are people in Western nations that have a lot more freedom than Americans, right? Because Americans, they get a little twisted on what the freedom is. They spend freedom. Let's say you walk into it. Let's say you have $100 of freedom. Where would you spend that freedom on? Where would you spend that $100 on? But you can only buy things that equate to freedom, right? An American might buy a gun. Okay, so you buy a gun, that equates to freedom. Without that gun, you can't have freedom. But some people will say, with that gun, you can't have freedom. With that weapon, with all those weapons, can you have freedom? That is the question. And so all people don't grow up in societies with guns being proliferated like that, especially not like that, but just anywhere. There's many societies where there's no guns at all. People aren't worried about their neighbor. And although their GDP isn't that big, they make a higher minimum wage than Americans. uh, Serious, like flat out. You know, this election experience has really been a cool experience to have on the internet, because I've been reading some of the comments in the shorts. I don't know. Take a look at the shorts if you've never seen the shorts before. And some of the comments in the shorts are just very telling, very, very telling. Um, I learned so much about Americans that know so little about their own country. like flat out. That is insane. It's almost like talking, I've met, I've met, I've met people that come from places where there's only one road in and one road out, and maybe have never met another person from another ethnicity ever in their life until they were like in their 40s or 30s, right? But but for some reason, you can still meet Americans like that that seem like that. Although we're in the wealthiest country on earth, you can meet people that seem very isolated, very have an extreme lack of knowledge about their own country. I'm talking about civil society, civics. Like that's what I mean about their own country, the structure, how things work practically, right? You meet a lot of that online, and it's just very, very telling. It's a very, very telling moment for the United States of America. But in any case, let me go over to this one real quick and check out the latest. There's been a few things that came out lately in the last 24 hours, of course. Let me see here. And yeah, here we go. Let's see here. Let me prep this video. This is about Elon Musk. And of course, people in the United States have decided that they want the richest man on earth. They want to share all their top secrets with the richest man on earth. So they will elect Donald Trump so he could get the richest man on earth there with him. And his name is Elon Musk. And he wants to give Elon Musk, obviously, top secret information. He's going to pay Trump for it, obviously, right? That's what criminals do. They do criminal things. And both of these people have been accused of criminal stuff or illegal stuff. Elon Musk, I think he's being sued. I don't know if it's criminal or civil by the EU, by the whole EU. You know what I'm saying? Like for doing what? Spreading disinformation, right? And but this is the person Americans want in their, having all their top secret stuff. They want to give it to Elon Musk. And they want Trump to benefit from that, to get a little handout, a check, which is going to happen. You have to understand, this is definitely going to happen if Trump becomes the president. You have to understand that. There's no way that the richest man on earth who canvassed for Trump, spent how much money for Trump, right? They say $1 billion or something like that, or 100 million or something, right? There's no way that a person is going to spend all that money and not try to come out with top secret information, whether it's tech stuff, whether it's military stuff, whether it's satellite stuff. It's probably satellite stuff. It's probably also top secret information. Of course, is going to be about military things. So, but it's also going to be engineering too. So that was a decision that the American people seemed like they made, whether they made it under duress, whether they made it while being brainwashed by disinformation, or whether they wanted to commit self-suicide and they wanted to live a little crazy. We don't know, but they did do it. And or maybe somebody stole 14 million votes. There's people saying that. They're saying that Elon Musk had access to the computer, no, to the vote counting, the voting machines. He has the codes to it, the computer code to it. So how he got it, I have no clue. But there are agencies saying this. People are saying this. I mean, it's valid information. It's not a joke. This is going around though now. It's out in the public now. So, but this is what the situation is. I'm gonna start calling it a situation. I'm not gonna call it anything else, because maybe Trump doesn't become the president, But we know for damn sure that this is not going to be the normal type of get things done presidency where bills get signed and through the Congress and they go to the Senate and get passed and then the president signs them. Nope. There's going to be 4 years of nothing from Congress and nothing from the Senate, very likely, most likely. And anything Trump is going to do is going to be executive order and it's going to be challenged in the courts. Yeah. And yes. And, you know, who else knows? So Trump is going to be limited to just criminal activity, essentially selling secrets and all that, because and executive orders is going to get held up in the court, likely, depending on what they are, right? Now, but if they're illegal, they're going to, get held up there for sure this time. The generals, I heard that. Oh, right. Let's go to that because the military had some. They met. The U.S. military met, and apparently it is to talk about Trump. That's what they say. So let's see here. That's not this though. This is about Musk. But hold on. Let's play the one about Musk first, real quick. Let's see what they got.
It's interesting to see the people around him that are in on this, people like Elon Musk, who are elected and not formerly working with him, but clearly have a lot of power.
Yeah, it's clearly really unusual, and we've seen this this movie before during the first Trump White House when all kinds of people came and went into the office. By far the most critical appointment would be the White House chief of staff, and obviously made a choice there. The White House chief is the person the president counts on not only to execute his agenda, but to tell him what he doesn't want to hear. Now, that's been problematic for Trump, as we know. And one of the reasons that the first Trump White House was so chaotic and dysfunctional is because there really was no chief of staff in any meaningful sense of the word during his first term. He went through 4, you may recall. None of them was empowered to tell him what he didn't want to hear. And that's a huge problem.
Yeah. And so how do you think this will shape up? Because Susie Wiles, who helped run his successful 2024 campaign, who he really trusts, he has named her as chief of staff. She said very explicitly, according to our reporting, that he had to agree not to let the clown car into the Oval Office. Those were her words, according to our reporting. And so how much power do you think, just knowing you just laid out that sometimes he doesn't always listen to those around him. Do you think she will be able to have, and how might their particular relationship impact their relationship within the White House?
Well, look, I mean, to begin with, I think it's great news that, it's time that we had a woman as White House chief of staff. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, but it is a great thing. And that's actually it's interesting, but it seems more to me like it's something that, what can you say? Token, essentially. I would call it a token woman, to be honest, and not to be mean or anything, but I'm talking about in terms of MAGA, and I'm talking about in terms of Trump in general. I mean, Trump. Do we need to be reminded of what Trump can do, the kind of things? Let me see here. Let me pull this up also real quick. Yeah, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Let me see. And then get back to this one. Where is it at? Right. Trump has been, he started off with the most vile attitude towards women. Vile, like seriously, so vile. It's just, we've never heard anything like this in American in the US, in the politics. We never heard it. I'm just trying to find the right file real quick. I think where is it at? Right here. Is it okay? It's getting close. Sorry about the delay, y'all. Right, here we go. Here we go. This is something ridiculous. Oh, wait. Is it this one? Right, it's this one. Can y'all see this?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead.
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is.
Give me a
literally
definition then.
words.
Would you give me a definition of
DEI.
that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question.
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you.
I just defined it, sir.
Sure.
Now, right here, this is Trump in his first term, right? This is Trump in his first term. And this is just vile. This is just vile. But yeah, let's play it. You got to hear it.
Shock that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry.
Ned. Go ahead.
In a tweet, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say.
Now, what was that? You see how he just talked to that lady? And everyone was just like, what the heck? But look at the people on stage.
Find it, sir.
Sure.
Look, where's the ladies at? You see what I mean by token? You see what I mean by token? You know, and then look at all these guys here. There is one lady there, and that's why I say it's token. How many dudes is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's more. Let me play it.
She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
All right, you see that? It's 2 women. Is this a third woman? 1, 2, 3, maybe one there. I don't know. But look, I'm sorry, but this is, and then when you couple it with the fact that they're all sitting there smiling and the women are smiling, let's see what their face look like while he says this.
I'm sorry.
No, shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a tweet, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect.
Of shock.
Find it, sir.
Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
Okay.
Define it. Define the.
You got to see his
Define
face.
it for me if you.
I just defined it, sir.
Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You never do.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Okay.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I just defined it, sir.
Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking. Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
What does that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but you know, I'd like to do the trade.
It has to do with the other headline in the news, which is the
I know,
Kavanaugh
but
nomination.
how about question? But go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend,
Now listen to the question. He insulted her right off at the top. Now listen to the question.
Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
What does that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but you know, I'd like to do the trade.
It has to do with the
questions.
other headline in the news, which is the
I know,
Kavanaugh
but
nomination.
how about talking about trade, and then we'll get to that. We'll do that a little bit
Do
later.
you think that
Anybody have a trade?
do you
Go
think
ahead.
you're Trojan?
How the question, but you know, I
FBI. This weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
what is it?
Now, we all know that he did, in fact, Then when she's saying it, it was what people suspected. Now we know after the fact, he did in fact limit the scope of the FBI investigations. And in fact, he even sent the FBI on persons or tried to get them to, file cases on people that had done nothing, that they suspected of doing nothing. Now, in contrast, hold on, let's hear a little bit
What does
more.
that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but I'd like to do the trade.
It has to do with the
questions.
other headline in the news, which is the
I know,
Kavanaugh
but
nomination.
how about talking about trade, and then we'll get to that. We'll do that a little bit later.
Do you think the
Anybody have a trade?
Do you
Go
think
ahead,
your trade
please.
deal will pass through Congress, sir?
I think so, but
Ha 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 ha. Passing through Congress? Yeah, a lot of smoke and mirrors.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
What I say is what I say. When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the do anything.
Finding that he did not. They're saying no to rape, but yes to sexual assault. Where do you think the disconnect is there, Lisa?
I think the disconnect is that E. Jean Carroll, and Katie, I'm going to ask for your pardon here because I'm about to get graphic. E. Jean Carroll said that she couldn't really see whether Donald Trump was penetrating her with his genitalia. She knew that he had first inserted his fingers into her vagina. She felt him do that. And then she thought that she was penetrated by his penis, but she couldn't say for sure, in part because she couldn't see it. And so that uncertainty may have been part of what motivated the jury's verdict on the rape count. That notwithstanding, she was so unambiguous about the sexual abuse, and that plus the corroborating evidence that Ron pointed to, not only the fact that she called Lisa Birnbach from the sidewalk outside Bergdorf's, talked to Martin 2 days later, but the testimony of Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoynoff, whose own experiences with Donald Trump not only echoed E. Jean Carroll's, but were basically a come to life version of the Donald Trump playbook as enunciated in the Access Hollywood tape. I think that that's partially what helped get this jury over the line on the sexual abuse count.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Everybody in Palm Beach knew him. I had falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan.
Epstein, who has pleaded not guilty to federal sex trafficking conspiracy charges in New York, is fighting to be released from jail while he waits for his trial. His lawyers now offering an explanation for the most mysterious item uncovered in a search of Epstein.
So in any case, Trump has got caught up in these shenanigans. And now he's flipping the script, and this is his new maneuver right here.
At an extent, we saw that happen during the pandemic when Trump tried to pretend that there was no pandemic. Goes rogue. He may Trump without getting fired. Woman as White House. Well, look, I mean, to begin with, I think it's great news that, long past time that we had a woman as White House chief. So I think that's a great thing. On her side, I think Susie Wiles has demonstrated that she can work closely with Trump without getting fired. She's been able to apparently tell him hard truths from time to time. But here's the problem. I mean, there's a real difference between running a campaign and running the White House. On a campaign, when a president goes rogue, he may offend some people and lose some votes. In the White House, when a president goes rogue, you lose lives. We saw that happen during the pandemic when Trump pretended that there was no pandemic, as Bob Woodward has has documented extensively. And he didn't have a White House chief of staff who could tell him otherwise. He had a sycophant in the form of Mark Meadows. So, look, the stakes are really high, and color me skeptical that Susie Wiles can really tell the president what he doesn't want to hear.
And when we've been speaking with Trump allies on this show, all of them keep saying they're in a better place in 2016. They know how to do this better, that he's more prepared to get to work immediately. Essentially, that the system has been streamlined. Do you think that's true?
I don't. Frankly, I don't see any evidence that Trump learned anything.
Washington, report to these offices. And what the first thing I remember of offices were that the offices were painted like a pink color. I think the anticipation that Hillary was going to win, and the first gentleman's office were painted blue, but we had to sort out the office spaces. Then we had a long list of all of the political appointments that were vacant and that he would need to fill. We had to make a distinction between the ones that would be Senate confirmed and the ones that he could just appoint. This time, I believe that Donald Trump already has his team. And I must say, Susie Wiles is an excellent choice for his chief of staff. Susie and I worked together in first term. First time he was running, when we went to Florida, orchestrated the entire operation in Florida. And I believe that she will be the one only guardrail that will keep this administration from going totally and completely off track.
You know what I've read about her is that she's somebody that you don't cross, you can fear her. And at the same time, she's a grandmother who loves bird watching.
She is a grandmother. She is a mother. I know her and I know her family well. But one thing about Susie is that she likes organization, and she likes things to be organized and for them to run as they're supposed to. She does not like chaos. She's smart, shrewd, but she also is a woman of her word. When Susie says she's going to do something, she's going to do it. And it will contrast between Trump, who is very impulsive, who does not follow through on some of the things that he says he's going to do, and he jumps around a lot. So Susie will be hopefully the only guardrails that will save American democracy.
And I'm going to ask you about the guardrails in a second, but she says the clown car can't come into the White
I mean, think about this. Omarosa, she was supporting Trump. You know, she supported Trump in the first place. She came off of a reality TV show with an excuse like, yeah, I thought he was a nice guy, or yeah, I had, you know, just, I don't know what her excuse is, but to me, it seemed like a little self-serving. I don't know, you know, like to play ignorant of, you know, when you're around someone. I mean, could she not tell something was wrong with him? Did she not see wrongdoing? Like what would make her attach her name to support Trump to even be the president in the first place? That's what I don't understand, you know, and now she's not. You know, so what's I don't get it. Why did she catch on so late? You know, but in any case, yeah. Let's get out of this one. I want to see real quick what's up with the military. Military, okay. Joint show, okay. Why is this so? A year ago? No, let's see here. Here we go.
generals who are loyal to him, and now the Pentagon is preparing for what could be major upheaval, according to the Washington Post, amid fears Donald Trump will at some point follow through with his plans to, quote, deploy the military domestically against American citizens, demand fealty from key leaders, and attempt to remake the nonpartisan institution to one explicitly loyal to him. Joining us now, former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense and special assistant to the Secretary of the Navy, Mark Jacobson. He's currently president at the Partnership for Public Service. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Katie. Good to be back with you.
So what do you think is going to happen, or what do you worry will happen with the Pentagon?
Well, the first worry I have is that there's a smooth and orderly transition. I mean, this is absolutely critical to national security. We saw in 2000, 2001, at least according to 9/11 Commission reports, some of the dangers that can happen when you don't have a smooth transition. You're not ready for all the challenges that are faced out there in a very dangerous world. So I think the first thing that has to happen is the Trump the incoming administration, the Trump team, has to be serious about transition. They have to make sure to get the landing teams in place, and they have to listen to civil servants and the uniformed military who are going to provide, in an apolitical, nonpartisan way, the best professional judgment on a range of issues that the team's going to have to face when they start on January 20th.
What about the desire for Donald Trump to have generals who are loyal to him, and also the desire that he had at the end of his last term to implement something called Schedule F, which would have gotten rid of anybody who wasn't explicitly loyal to him, making all those appointments instead political and Trumpian in nature? What can he do with the Pentagon if he decides to pursue that?
Whether it's the Pentagon or anywhere else in the federal government, I think Schedule F is a problem because it's a blunt instrument. In other words, any president, any secretary of defense, any cabinet wants a team that helps to implement president's policies and gets things done. And that's the job of an apolitical civil service, nonpartisan civil service, and a nonpartisan military, to execute the lawful orders of the commander in chief and to make sure those things are implemented. They're political appointees that are going to guide those efforts. So I think any president that thinks that they're going to simply really throw the baby out with the bathwater, is going to get rid of everybody who stands in our way, runs into a problem, and this groupthink. In other words, everyone's going to tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. And I can't think of anywhere where it's important in the national security arena that people hear, that a president hears what they need to. They need to understand the risks, the trade-offs, there are dangers in using military force, and they're the right ways to go about it. So I'm hopeful that the president brings a serious national security team that leverages that sort of expertise.
Do you think he's going to have people around him that will get him to stay in NATO? I mean, he just had a conversation with Zelensky that Zelensky says didn't leave him more worried, according to reporting that's out there. Elon Musk also was on that call, according to Axios. But in terms of NATO, which obviously the Ukrainians want to join eventually, do you think that the United States stays in it under Donald Trump?
I think if we take Trump at his word, what he said during the campaign, there is likely going to be shift in U.S. policy towards Ukraine or towards the arming of the Ukrainians. But remember, first, the Europeans are doing a lot, in some cases a lot more than the U.S. has done in order to make sure the Ukrainians stay in this fight. The second thing, and I'm encouraged by this, is the new NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, has had a conversation with President-elect Trump, and I think is playing the right way. A little bit of, look, President Trump, whether you like it or not, his efforts forced the Europeans into a situation where they had to start paying more for defense. Do I worry about the future of the alliance? I do. I worry about the credibility of the U.S. commitment. And I think that if I were advised...
That statement right there, I'm curious about that statement because, I don't believe that that's so accurate where he's saying Donald Trump made Europeans start paying more. I don't think it's that. I think you have all these countries, they have some sort of cooperation regarding who pays what, when, and how much. They have like a complex understanding of how to do it. It's not so black and white. NATO is is a bunch of nations that are working together. But to make them work together, there it's how you approach it is not that this nation has the same exact capacity as another on any level. That's not how it's approached. It's approached differently. Like each one has has special tools. That's how it's approached. So even with the economies, you have nations. I mean, the U.S. is the largest economy on earth. So ergo, the other NATO nations have smaller economies. So ergo, they put less into NATO. But some nations, when you're in NATO, it also has to be passed locally, nationally through the Congress. You see what I mean? That has the purse. That they have to keep funding it. You see, so it's not like a president can snap their finger and the bill it gets paid overnight. No, but NATO has that practice. They all know that. That's how it's been going on. And now Donald Trump inserts himself and makes it sound like other people aren't paying into it and the US isn't getting the fair share, they're paying too much. And so his excuse is like, we're paying too many bills. We can't make sure there's no homeless. We can't help people with child care. We can't make sure everybody has health care. We can't make sure people have fair access to education. We can't have a fair working wage, that allows you to take care of yourself, to pay for your apartment or home or shelter, food, clothing, transport, these kind of things, right? That's not what he's saying. They don't have that because of this other stuff with NATO. That's garbage. The U.S. has the biggest economy on earth, $27 trillion on every year. That's the GDP right now. So, and every year for the last 25 years, it's gone up over $1 trillion each year, regardless of who the president is. So don't let somebody sell you short. Most of the NATO nations have universal health care, have free education, paid education, even some of them, these kind of things. So what's up with the U.S.? People are struggling. It seems like a lot of MAGA people are poor and a lot of Democrats are not doing well either, because everybody agrees something's not right with the economy. But what about the economy isn't right? Is it the inflation? Or is it that you ain't getting paid enough? What is it about the economy? Is it that you don't get anything for your tax dollars? Like you don't get you don't get help with child care, right? You don't get any deductions, tax deductions for different things because of your economy. Help, social help that other people get in other Western economies, Western nations, for their tax dollar. For some reason, U.S. Americans don't get that kind of stuff. And that's what they're fighting over. Nonetheless, the homelessness, you don't even hear people even say the word homeless. Like they almost don't exist because the political parties are afraid to even say we're going to make sure no one's homeless in the U.S. That's what's crazy. It's extreme. But in any case, y'all, I'm out. Thanks for the morning chat. I hope everybody has a good day, a good morning, a good Monday, a good start to your week. Bless y'all.